Live from New Delhi, you're watching DD India News Hour, India's voice to the world. I'm Preeti Kaur. Coming up in the next 1 hour, Reserve Bank of India cuts repo rate by 25 basis points to 6% for the second straight time, shifts policy stance to accommodative from neutral. President Draupadi Murmu visits Slovakia in the second leg of two-nation visit to meet her Slovak counterpart Peter Pellegrini, hold delegation-level talks and exchange MOUs. US imposes new higher reciprocal rates from today. China faces a staggering 104% additional levy. Markets remain in turmoil. S&P 500 hits lowest close in almost a year. Donald Trump continues to defend tariffs, claiming they are already bringing $2 billion a day. Stresses that the US is working on tailored deals with foreign trade partners. Dominican Republic nightclub roof collapses, killing at least 98, including governor and ex-MLB players. Rescue operations underway, cause of accident being investigated. We begin the bulletin by taking you live across to Mumbai. RBI Governor Sanjay Malhotra is addressing the press conference post the Monetary Policy Committee statement.
As also other colleagues from Reserve Bank. Sir, with your permission, we'll move directly to questions and answers. Yes. So before we begin, I'll request all of you to please wait for your turn. Before asking question, please switch on the mic which is in front of you, because otherwise people who are listening to this live feed would not be able to listen to you. And also request to switch it off once your query is over. In interest of time, as I always request, please stick to one question per person, and we'll see if time permits we can take the other one. Sir, there are 26 people from media today, and with your permission, we can commence the question and answer. I'll request Mr. Laltendu from The Hindu to ask his question.
Thank you very much, Putin sir, Governor sir, good afternoon, and everybody good afternoon. Sir, my question is about the trade war. You already made a reference in your statement about the noisy trade war that is happening. It started with reciprocal tariff, then retaliatory tariff, then again counter-retaliatory tariff. I could call it a revenge tariff. So, whether we should be worried about or not, and what is your assessment of the situation, sir? Thank you.
I think this question, we fairly covered in my statement as to what its impact really is going to be globally as well as for the Indian economy. Globally, you are aware that most of the forecasts now for the GDP growth rate have, for the global growth rate have come down, by at least 20 to 30 basis points, not only for this year, even, for next year. And similarly, inflation, there is mixed response globally for inflation, especially for US. It's projected forecast to go up because of the tariffs that they will be imposing. For other countries, the impact would be different, depending on the situation that they are in. For India, we have given, our assessment. As you can see, the growth rate we have reduced by 20 basis points this year, primarily arising out of the uncertainties, the various channels through which this also, I elaborated in detail in my statement. And on the inflation front, we have said, it can move actually both ways because of the surplus, because of the demand that is going to shrink as a result of the trade tariff friction. It may help. On the inflation front. You are seeing that the crude prices have also gone down. So, all in all, more than inflation, we are concerned about its impact on growth. And accordingly, you can read the statement for further details. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Next we'll have Lata from CNBC.
Thank you very much for the opportunity. Governor, you had said that the real rate for you should be 150 basis points in a previous conference. Now, per your forecast, throughout this year, inflation is going to be below 4%. In which case, the real rate today is actually 200 basis points. So, do you think there is a chance for a double rate cut should have been already, like a 50 basis? Because we are very far away from that 150 real rate. We are at 200. And do you think the real rate itself should be 5/4 because you are expecting inflation to be even below 4%? How would you assess that? And just a related question, liquidity in the past, the Reserve Bank has guided on the liquidity amount. That helps transmission, basically. They have said that we want liquidity to be 1 to 1.5% of NDTL, or negative 1 to 1.5% of NDTL. Would you want to give the bankers some comfort zone like that? My liquidity threshold is 2 lakh crore, or some percentage of deposits, so that transmission happens.
So this figure of 1.5%, I mean, I don't recall, having made it. Maybe some of my predecessors may have made that statement. I think from studies that we have, the real rate is to be in the range of, different studies are there, from 1.1% to 1.9%. So 1.5% is quite a plausible, real rate, or a natural real rate, as you call it, over there. Insofar as the policy rate is concerned now going forward, we have, as you can see, we have changed the stance from neutral to accommodative. So obviously, the trend is going to be downwards. As regards inflation, the average is 4% this year. The average next year, we really don't know, right?
The calendar year, it is below 4.
For the calendar year, yes, it is below 4. But for the next quarter, for the first quarter, it is more than 4%. We will look at, the evolving situation, as we have already mentioned, and basis our forecast and outlook for the growth and the inflation. As you are aware, these are uncertain times, and so we will take a call as to where the policy rate should actually move to. With regard to liquidity, I already made a mention in the statement, without giving any numbers over there, that we will keep it sufficiently in surplus. I again reiterate, that we will provide sufficient liquidity for the purposes of monetary policy transmission. I don't want to give a number, really, as to what kind of a surplus, but sufficiently in surplus. And you mentioned, linking it to NDTL. Well, yes, that is the kind of number, about 1% or so in the surplus range. Now that, we are on the easing cycle, that is the kind of, number that we will be looking at. And we'll keep it sufficiently, surplus. The aim really is to look at the policy rate. So if we are able to transmit it, to the overnight rate, hopefully it will then transfer to the other short-term, medium-term, and the long-term interest rates. Transmission, you are aware, it takes a little while. It's not over. It will not happen, immediately. We have seen it in the past, that transmission, when we increased it by the repo rate by 250 basis points, it took 6 to 9 months at least, for the interest rates to decrease in response to the policy repo rate decrease. And they also, did not decrease to a corresponding amount. The decrease was about 204 basis points only, as against the 250 basis points increase in the repo rate. So we are watchful. We will provide sufficient liquidity to the system so that this transmission of the policy rate into the interest rate happens quickly. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
So that was RBI Governor Sanjay Malhotra addressing questions at a press conference after announcing the Monetary Policy Committee statement in the morning today. We'll get you the highlights and the gist of that press conference in a while from now. But getting you gist of the monetary policy that was announced in the morning, the Reserve Bank of India cut the repo rate by 25 basis points to 6%, bringing relief to home and auto loan borrowers. Now, this is RBI Governor Sanjay Malhotra's second policy decision, shifting to an accommodative stance to support economic growth. GDP growth projections were reduced to 6.5% for financial year 26 from 6.7%. The Reserve Bank of India's Governor Sanjay Malhotra delivered India's monetary policy statement on Wednesday, outlining key decisions on interest rates, inflation control and economic growth.
After a detailed assessment of the evolving macroeconomic and financial conditions and outlook, the MPC voted unanimously to reduce the policy repo rate by 25 basis points to 6% with immediate effect. I repeat, the MPC voted unanimously to reduce the policy repo rate by 25 basis points to 6% with immediate effect. Consequently, the standing deposit facility, the SDF rate, under the liquidity adjustment facility shall stand adjusted to 5.75%, and the marginal standing facility rate or the MSF rate and the bank rate shall stand adjusted to 6.25%.
Meanwhile, inflation is projected at 4%. The RBI governor said that there is greater confidence of a durable alignment of headline inflation with a target of 4% over a 12-month horizon.
The Monetary Policy Committee noted that the inflation is currently below the target. It is supported by a sharp fall in food inflation. Moreover, there is a decisive improvement in the inflation outlook. As per projections, there is now a greater confidence of a durable alignment of headline inflation with the target of 4% over a 12-month horizon.
President Draupadi Murmu is on a state visit to Slovakia on the second leg of a two-nation visit. This is the first visit by the President of India to Slovakia in 29 years. President Murmu will hold bilateral meetings with her Slovak counterpart, Peter Pellegrini, and also Prime Minister Robert Fico. President Murmu will also meet the Speaker of the National Council of Slovak Republic, Richard Razi. The state visit by President reflects the importance India attaches to bilateral relations with Slovakia. It will provide an opportunity to further strengthen and broaden our bilateral ties. President Murmu will also interact with members of the Indian community. DD India correspondent Ajay Joy spoke to Girish Luthra, who is the president of Federation of Indian Chambers of Commerce and Industry, that is FICCI. He is the part of the business delegation accompanying President of India.
President of India has embarked on her two-day visit to Slovak Republic. We have seen a real uptake in the economic relations as well, and to further strengthen, we have business delegation from India visiting Slovakia. We here are joined by Girish Luthra, President of FICCI. How do you feel that India-Slovak business relation will shape in the future?
India and Slovak has certain great similarities like medium and small scale industries. So tying up with each other will become much easier, and so that is going to take a long way. Last 3 years, we have been focusing on inter-country relationship to be strengthened by multiple folds. We are going to focus on specific industrial areas which are of common interest. In last 2 years, the focus of India has been to become the supplier of green hydrogen to the world, and Europeans are looking very closely with it. Slovakia has a port for green hydrogen loading unloading. Same, India is developing one, so this can be a gateway to Europe. India is growing very fast in last 5 years, we have seen. This will happen continuously more, and Slovakia is a manufacturing hub of defense equipment for Europe, one of them. So tying up in that sector is going to be another major outlook. we have seen lot of synergy between the two countries.
How is the relations happening between FICCI and other industrial organizations here in Slovakia?
FICCI and Slovakia Chamber of Commerce and SARIO, which is an industrial support system from government of Slovakia, we already have a tie-up and a MOU signed for supporting industries in both the countries.
And really we hope that this visit will truly be fulfilling its true potential in terms of our future relations as well.
Prime Minister Narendra Modi on Wednesday emphasized on the importance of Jain literature in shaping India's rich intellectual and spiritual heritage, calling it the backbone of India's intellectual grandeur. He was addressing a gathering at Navkar Mahamantra Divas at Vigyan Bhavan in New Delhi. Prime Minister Modi said that preserving ancient Jain texts is a national duty. The Prime Minister highlighted the government's decision to grant classical language status to Prakrit and Pali, two ancient Indian languages deeply intertwined with Jain and Buddhist traditions. He also pointed out how the architectural and cultural influence of Jainism is reflected in the new Parliament building. A magnificent painting of Lord Mahavir adorns the roof of the Constitution Hall, and all 24 Tirthankars are depicted on the wall. He also emphasized that New India will continue to uphold the values of ancient traditions, even while advancing through modern technology.
नवकार महामंत्र का एक दर्शन विकसित भारत के विजन से जुड़ता है। मैंने लाल किले से कहा है, विकसित भारत यानी विकास भी, विरासत भी। एक ऐसा भारत जो रुकेगा नहीं, ऐसा भारत जो थमेगा नहीं, जो ऊंचाई छुएगा लेकिन अपनी जड़ों से नहीं कटेगा। विकसित भारत अपनी संस्कृति पर गर्व करेगा, इसलिए हम अपने तीर्थंकरों की शिक्षाओं को सहेजते हैं।
In a significant boost to India's Make in India vision, Mahindra Aerostructures Private Limited has secured a prestigious contract from Airbus Helicopters to manufacture and assemble the main fuselage of the H-130 light single-engine helicopter. Now, the contract was formally signed in the presence of Union Minister of Civil Aviation K. Rammohan Naidu. DD India's Tapas Bhattacharya gets us more.
Union Civil Aviation Minister, sir, it's a huge opportunity for India to boost its Make in India program with the Airbus coming in. Do you believe that not just Airbus but other Boeing, for instance, also these people also will come and there will be a major input on that?
Yes, today we are seeing a growing interest in manufacturing in aerospace industry in the country itself, and we have to thank the Honorable Prime Minister for his mission of Make in India and Atmanirbhar Bharat that has created the platform for a lot of these international companies, international industries to set up their factory in India itself. And we have seen similar things happening in aviation industry. But we want to push it more. We see there is a lot more potential right now and we want to grow up on it. And Airbus has been very supportive for it to procure more equipment from the country. And in the last 5 years, we have seen it triple its procurement from 500 million to 1.5 billion. And we are seeing other players like Boeing also and Embraer also. Most of these important OEMs trying to set up their shop here because there is an advantage now to come to India and to manufacture here. The talent is there. The whole ecosystem is getting stronger and stronger. So this the collaboration between Airbus and Mahindra, what has happened today, is going to bolster that confidence to see more and more people come in. Mahindra has also been a very important player in the Indian manufacturing ecosystem. So they also establishing their foothold in aviation creates a more confidence for international players.
So is the government doing anything to increase the number of manufacturing when it comes to civil aviation market?
Absolutely. We are encouraging the states also to move into this direction, to set up more aviation parks in their states so that these regions get created where the ecosystem is built. And especially around the airports, we are trying to talk with the states and create these kind of systems. And from the ministry, whenever it comes to manufacturing, whatever support they need, we are doing it on a mission mode. We have put this as a top priority that we want to increase the manufacturing, and the whole ministry, under the vision of our Honorable Prime Minister, we are supporting it.
Much appreciate your time. So that was the Civil Aviation Minister saying that the impetus is on manufacturing the civil aviation aircraft in the country, as along with the helicopters. With our persons, this is Tapush Bhattacharya for DD India from Delhi.
You're watching DD India News. We're heading for a short break. Stay with us.
Geopolitics and trade deals. Economic challenges amid development. Hard work and the path to prosperity. It's the economy always. Between walkers, money is what money does and says. Supply creates its own demand. Between the bulls pulls and bears tears. When supply chains globalization and India rises to the podium. We'll get you centered with the economic brief at 8 p.m. every Thursday on DD India.
Welcome back after the break. You're watching DD India News Hour. Let's get to international updates. Trump's reciprocal tariffs against all U.S. trading partners comes into effect on Wednesday, sending markets into a tailspin again as the devastating global trade war intensified. Following the sweeping 10% tariffs that took effect over the weekend, rates on imports to the United States from exporters come into effect on Tuesday midnight. Among his sweeping new trade moves is a hefty 104% tariff rate on China. This comes on top of Chinese tariffs that were in place prior to Trump's second term. China sees tariffs increase by 34% on Wednesday as part of Trump's reciprocal tariffs package, but the president tagged on another 50% after Beijing did not back off on its promise to impose 34% retaliatory tariffs on the U.S. goods by noon on Tuesday, adding an additional 84% in duties.
Additional tariffs on Chinese goods are in place effective midnight tonight at 104%. Until they make a deal with us, that's what it's going to be. I think they'll make a deal at some point. China will. They want to make a deal. They really do. They want to make a deal. They just don't know how to get it started because they're proud people.
Trump defended his trade policies, claiming the U.S. is now pouring in billions from tariffs on foreign imports. He stated that tariffs are generating up to $2 billion a day. The U.S. president has claimed the tariffs will prompt countries to try to negotiate a deal with the U.S.
Taking in almost $2 billion a day in tariffs. $2 billion a day. And we're doing very well. And we're doing very well in making, I call them tailored deals, not off the rack. These are tailored, highly tailored deals. Right now, Japan is flying here to make a deal. South Korea is flying here to make a deal, and others are flying here.
U.S. stocks dropped on Tuesday for a fourth straight trading day since Trump's tariffs announcement last week. The S&P 500 tumbled into the red zone in the early afternoon, with losses accelerating in the final 90 minutes of trading. The broad-based index finished down 1.6% at 4,982.77, its first close below 5,000 points in nearly a year. Stocks have been in free fall since Trump's Liberation Day event, announcing tariffs on major U.S. trading partners last Wednesday. S&P 500 companies have lost $5.8 trillion in stock market value, the deepest four-day loss since the benchmark was created in the 1950s. Trump's sweeping tariffs have raised fears of recession and upended a global trading order that has been in place for decades. Asian markets opened lower this morning as investor risk appetite weakened due to White House moving forward with broad tariffs on trade partners. Japan's Nikkei tumbled 3.5% after rallying 6% on Wednesday on the hopes that Tokyo may get some trade deal with the U.S. Taiwan stocks fell 5.8% in afternoon trade as Trump's far-reaching tariffs took effect. The index was down by 1,074.32 points, despite the government activating a $15 billion stabilization fund to claim the market. South Korea's currency, meanwhile, fell to its lowest level against the dollar since 2009, while oil prices slumped 3% in early Asian trade. New Zealand's central bank cut interest rates on citing US trade tariffs, becoming one of the first to respond to the economic turmoil rippling through the markets worldwide. Indian stock markets demonstrated relative resilience amid global market turmoil caused by Trump's tariff announcement. South Korea on Wednesday announced emergency support measures for its auto sector, seeking to reduce the blow of Trump's tariffs on the automobile industry. South Korea unveiled a package of emergency funding worth $2 billion for the auto sector hit by US tariff. The government will lower taxes on automobile purchases to 3.5% from the current 5% until June this year, and raise electric vehicle subsidies to 30% to 80% of the price discounts from the current 20 to 40%, with the period extended by 6 months to the end of this year. The 25% levy on all auto imports into the US took effect last week, and the new duties are expected to have a significant impact on the industry. US President Donald Trump on Tuesday said that the US will soon announce a major tariff on pharmaceutical imports. Speaking at an event at the National Republican Congressional Committee, Trump said that the tariff will incentivize drug companies to move their operations to the US.
So we're going to be announcing very shortly a major tariff on pharmaceuticals, and when they hear that, they will leave China, they will leave other places because they have to sell. Most of their product is sold here.
US President Donald Trump has signed an executive order to boost the US coal industry, including by loosening environmental regulations and opening federal lands for mining. The orders include efforts to save coal plants that were likely to be retired, including unlocking authorities in the 1950 Defense Production Act to boost coal production. They also direct Energy Secretary Chris Wright to determine whether coal used in steel production is a critical mineral. In addition, the orders direct Interior Secretary Doug Burgum to acknowledge the end of a moratorium that paused new coal leasing, which allows private companies to buy the right to extract coal on federal lands and to prioritize the leasing.
This order, I'm also directing Secretary Wright to use billions of dollars in federal funding to invest in the next generation of coal technology, which is an amazing technology in terms of getting the full potential of coal and also doing it a very clean, environmental way. In addition, I'm instructing the Department of Justice to identify and fight every single unconstitutional state or local regulation that's putting our coal miners out of business.
In the Dominican Republic's capital, Santo Domingo, nearly 98 people have been killed and more than 150 were injured after a roof collapsed at a nightclub. A provincial governor and former Major League Baseball pitcher Octavio Dotel were among those killed. Dotel died on the way to hospital after being pulled from the debris. Also among the victims was Nelsie Cruz, the governor of the northern Monte Cristi province. The incident happened in the early hours on Tuesday at a concert by popular Dominican singer Ruby Perez, who was also killed. The event was attended by politicians, athletes and other prominent figures. Hundreds of people were inside the venue and some 400 rescuers are still searching for the survivors. Dominican President Luis Abinader and his wife Raquel Arbay visited the scene of the nightclub. They greeted authorities and embraced family members waiting for the news of their relatives and expressed condolences to the families affected. Three U.S. citizens convicted over a failed coup in Democratic Republic of Congo have been transferred into U.S. custody after Kinshasa commuted their death sentences last week. The deal to hand over the Americans was finalized as U.S. President Donald Trump's senior Africa advisor Massad Boulos traveled to Congo to hold meetings with President Felix Tshisekedi in the capital Kinshasa. It comes amid negotiations between Washington and Kinshasa on security and mining. Ahead of the trip, Trump's special envoy for hostage response had called on Tshisekedi to release the Americans. State Department spokesperson Tammy Bruce said that Washington condemned the armed attacks on May 19th last year and supports DRC in holding those responsible accountable. At least 3 people were killed and 3 others were injured in a shooting incident in Spotsylvania County, Virginia on Tuesday. The Spotsylvania Sheriff's Office received reports of gunfire in the Old Greenwich Circle area. In a statement shared on social media platform Facebook, the Sheriff's Office mentioned that the ages of the victims remain unknown and no suspects have been caught so far. The motive behind the shootings has not been disclosed. Local ABC affiliate reported that 6 people were found at the scene, with 3 dead and the survivors hospitalized. You're watching DD India News Hour. We're heading for a short break. Stay with us.
Geopolitics and trade deals. Economic challenges amid development. Hard work and the path to prosperity. It's the economy always. Between walkers, money is what money does and says. Supply creates its own demand. Between the bulls pulls and bears tears. When supply chains globalization and India rises to the podium. We'll get you centered with the Economic Brief at 8 p.m. every Thursday on DD India.
Welcome back after the break. You're watching DD India News Hour. A quick relook at the top stories now. Reserve Bank of India cuts repo rate by 25 basis points to 6% for the second straight time. Shifts policy stance to accommodative from neutral. President Draupadi Murmu visits Slovakia in the second leg of 2-nation visit to meet her Slovak counterpart Peter Pellegrini, hold delegation-level talks and exchange MOUs. US imposes new higher reciprocal rates from today. China faces a staggering 104% additional levy. Markets remain in turmoil. S&P 500 hits lowest close in almost a year. Donald Trump continues to defend tariffs, claiming they're already bringing $2 billion a day. Stresses that the US is working on tailored deals with foreign trade partners. Dominican Republic nightclub roof collapses, killing at least 98, including a governor and ex-MLB player. Rescue operations underway, cause of the accident being investigated. Iran on Tuesday responded to US President Donald Trump's announcement of direct talks regarding its nuclear program. Iran's Foreign Minister Abbas Araghchi insisted on that the negotiations in Oman on Saturday would be indirect, contradicting Trump's surprise announcement on Monday that they would be direct talks. Meanwhile, White House Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt said on Tuesday that US-Iran talks in Oman on Saturday will be direct, dismissing Iran's insistence that the discussions will be indirect. The US and Iran have engaged in indirect talks several times in recent years. The country has traditionally played a mediating role between Washington and Tehran, including during talks held there in 2023.
When it comes to Saturday, I won't get ahead of the president. He has said there will be direct talks with Iran on Saturday. I won't further any details from this podium for obvious reasons, security reasons. It will, provide an update as we always have. However, when it comes to Iran, the president has reimposed crippling sanctions on the Iranian regime, and he's made it very clear to Iran they have a choice to make. You can strike a deal with the president, you can negotiate, or there will be hell to pay.
The UN Security Council met after a Russian missile attack on the Ukrainian city of Kryvyi last week. Now, that was one of the deadliest attacks, jeopardizing Washington's ceasefire push. Russia said that Friday's strike had targeted a meeting of Ukrainian service members and foreign trainers, but that claim was rejected by Kyiv as misinformation. Russia's UN ambassador, Vasily Nebenzia, reminded the Security Council that one of Moscow's long-stated goals was Ukrainian demilitarization. Ukraine's Deputy UN Ambassador Kristina Hayovshin noted that Ukraine had accepted a US proposal for a 30-day ceasefire. While acting US Ambassador to the United Nations, Dorothy Shee told the Security Council on Tuesday that the United States will have no patience for bad faith negotiation or violation of commitments as it seeks to end the conflict in Ukraine.
We urge the Russian Federation to bear in mind that strikes like those on Kryvyi Rih and executions of prisoners of war have the potential to damage peace efforts and all dependent discussions. The April 4th missile strike further underscores the need for an end to this devastating war, and we will ultimately judge President Putin's commitment to a ceasefire by Russia's actions. This war must end. We will have no patience for bad faith negotiation or violation of commitments.
United Nations Secretary General Antonio Guterres has strongly opposed Israel's new plan to control aid deliveries in Gaza, citing concerns over humanitarian principles. The UN chief called for unimpeded access for relief programs, protection for humanitarian personnel, and adherence to international law, urging Israel to fulfill its obligations as an occupying power. Further, Guterres declared that the UN would not participate in arrangements that fail to uphold humanity, impartiality, independence, and neutrality.
UN agencies and our partners are ready and determined to deliver. But Israeli authorities' newly proposed authorization mechanisms for aid delivery risk further controlling and callously limiting aid down to the last calorie and grain of flour. Let me be clear. We will not participate in any arrangement that does not fully respect the humanitarian principles, humanity, impartiality, independence, and neutrality. Unimpeded humanitarian access must be guaranteed, and humanitarian personnel must be given the protection that they are accorded under international law.
U.S. Secretary of Defense Pete Hegseth toured the Panama Canal's Miraflores locks on Tuesday during his visit to the Central American nation. Earlier, Hegseth said that the United States will take back the Panama Canal from the Chinese influence and vow to deepen security cooperation with Panama's forces. More than 40% of U.S. container traffic, valued at roughly $270 billion a year, goes through the Panama Canal, accounting for more than two-thirds of vessels passing each day through the world's second busiest interoceanic waterway. In the United States, Department of Homeland Security Secretary Kristi Noem praised Donald Trump's border efforts on Tuesday, hailing a historic fall in border encounters. According to Noem, encounters at the border have decreased by 94% since Trump took office, and in February, the United States saw the lowest number of encounters in its history. The Secretary also highlighted the department's use of new technologies to address illegal immigration.
We are going to use every single tool that we have, and I'll run through a couple of those tools that I think are going to change the way that we operate in this country, and that it'll be ways that industry can partner with us. We're using new technologies in ways that we never have before. We're going to deploy new technologies not only at the border, but at our ports of entry and in our interior to make sure that we're sharing information with other agencies at all levels, and we're also going to be sharing more information, biometrics, DNA testing, and being much more efficient, working to get everybody more authorities that they need to be able to take action in every single interdiction that we have.
The Bay of Bengal Initiative for Multi-Sectoral Technical and Economic Cooperation BIMSTEC Agriculture Ministers level meeting is taking place in Kathmandu on Wednesday. India's Ministers for Agriculture Shivraj Singh Chauhan and Bhutan's Lingpo Yuten Phuntsho are attending the meeting. Nepal's Agriculture Minister Ramnath Adhikari is presiding over the minister-level meeting. The meeting discusses matters related to status and challenges of agriculture and collaboration among the member countries. Earlier, the secretary-level meeting was held in Kathmandu, where the secretaries of the Ministries of Agriculture met together. The secretary-level meeting had prepared the agenda for the ministerial-level meeting. A 5.0 magnitude earthquake struck Taiwan's northeastern region on Wednesday, causing buildings to shake in the capital, Taipei. According to the U.S. Geological Survey, the quake struck at a depth of nearly 70 kilometers in Yilan County near Taipei. The local administration said that the quake did not cause any immediate reports of damage or injuries. Train services, including high-speed rail, were not affected by the quake, although Taipei's underground metro temporarily reduced the speed of its trains. Wednesday's quake comes almost a year after a deadly 7.4 magnitude quake in April 2024, the island's strongest in 25 years, left at least 17 people dead, caused landslides and extensive structural damage around Hualien. Taiwan lies near the junction of two tectonic plates and is prone to earthquakes. In China, at least 20 people were killed in a fire at a nursing home in northern Hebei province. According to Beijing state news agency Xinhua, the fire broke out at around 9 p.m. local time on Tuesday at the nursing home in Longhua County. The cause of the fire is being ascertained. Other elderly people in the nursing home have been transferred to nearby hospital for further observation and treatment. A quick look at other stories making it to the headlines from across the world. In Nepal, Dr. Neelam Dungana Timsina has been appointed as the acting governor of Nepal Rashtra Bank. The national bank has been without a governor since April 6th. Minister for Communications and Information Technology Prithvi Subha Gurung has informed that a governor recommendation committee will suggest 3 candidates for the post and the government will select one to become the next governor. At least 50 hippos and other large animals have been killed by anthrax poisoning in Africa's oldest national park. Photos shared by the Virunga National Park in the Democratic Republic of Congo show the motionless animals floating along the Ishasha River. The exact cause of the poisoning is unknown, but tests have confirmed the presence of anthrax. Brazilian designers unveiled their latest collections at Sao Paulo's Fashion Week on Tuesday. The collection prominently features materials from northern state of Pará, including jute. The 30th edition of Sao Paulo's Fashion Week is scheduled to run from April 7 to April 10. A British woman became a mother after receiving a womb transplant from her sister. This is the first case of birth through transplanted womb in the UK. The operation took a team of over 30 medics and around 17 hours to complete. The woman was born with a rare condition that caused wombs to be missing or underdeveloped. Hank Rogers, the man who introduced Tetris to the world, shares his journey in his new book, The Perfect Game, Tetris from Russia with Love. His story was also featured in the 2023 Apple TV film Tetris. All proceeds from the sale of the book will go to his foundation, Blue Planet Alliance. A major exhibition of more than 400 works by British artist David Hockney went on show in Paris on Tuesday. The exhibition, featuring pieces from museums and private collections around the world, focuses on the past 25 years of the artist's career, presenting a diverse range of oil, acrylic, pencil and digital artworks. You're watching DD India News. I'll be heading for a short break. Stay with us.
Complex issues, hidden agendas, twists and turns, strategic games. We think all dots are linked. We just need to connect them. Join me every week as I connect the dots to unravel hidden designs in statecraft, mysteries, and decode issues that matter to you. Watch Connecting the Dots with me at these times on DD India.
Welcome back after the break. You're watching DD India News Hour. The Crown Prince of Dubai, Sheikh Hamad bin Mohammed bin Rashid Al Maktoum, who is also the Deputy Prime Minister and Minister of Defence of the UAE, today visited the Bombay Stock Exchange in Mumbai. The Crown Prince participated in the ceremonial ringing of the bell, a tradition at the BSE symbolizing the start of a new chapter. He reached India on Tuesday for his 2-day visit. This high-level visit not only marks a new chapter in India's diplomatic ties with the UAE, but also reinforces the growing strategic, economic and cultural cooperation between the two nations. This is Crown Prince's first visit to India. India's Electronics and IT Minister Ashwini Vaishnav on Tuesday underlined that AI is the new industrial revolution and urged stakeholders to share ideas on integrating AI with digital public infrastructure. Inaugurating the day-long stakeholders meet organized by the Unique Identification Authority of India, or the UIDAI, with ecosystem partners in Delhi, Minister Vaishnav said that Aadhaar is the new Aadhaar or basis of many initiatives and is the core of DPIs. He stated that the central government has a primary focus on improving the ease of living further. He gave the example of Aadhaar face authentication in this context, and how it is an enabler. At the event, UIDAI also unveiled a new Aadhaar app for securing digital verification and QR-based data sharing, which enhances user privacy and reduces dependence on physical copies. In a significant boost to India's Make in India vision, Mahindra Aerostructures Private Limited has secured a prestigious contract from Airbus Helicopters to manufacture and assemble the main fuselage of the H-130 light single-engine helicopter. Deliveries of these assemblies will begin in March 2027 and will be sent to Airbus Helicopters facility in Europe, making this yet another proud moment for Indian manufacturing on the world stage. Our correspondent Tapas Bhattacharya spoke exclusively to Sunny Guglani, head of Airbus Helicopters India and South Asia.
Joining me is Sunny Guglani, who is the head of Airbus Helicopter Division in India and South Asia. Sir, it's a huge opportunity for you guys to, get into a partnership with the Mahindra. The fuselage, manufacturing is a huge point, and for India to probably leapfrog into the elite group as well. Could you tell us exactly how this partnership is expected to benefit both Airbus as well as in the Make in India program?
It's a milestone partnership between Airbus and Mahindra Group to manufacture a major assembly for the H-130 helicopter of Airbus. Okay, so if you look at this diagram here, if you look at this picture here, Mahindra will manufacture and assemble this whole sub-assembly, this major assembly that goes into the making of the cabin of the H-130. This includes 1,000 sheet metal parts, 500 machined parts, and a number of sub-assemblies that have to come together with high engineering and high precision to form this entire major assembly. And Mahindra will be shipping these sub-assemblies to our facilities in Europe, where we will assemble them together with the rest of the equipment on the helicopter. And every H-130 helicopter from Airbus being sold anywhere in the world, not just in India, but anywhere globally, will have this major component assembly being manufactured and assembled by the Mahindra Group.
Airbus is a huge name, and coming here in India, setting its shop here, getting into partnership is going to be, it's a momentous occasion for the civil aviation industry.
In 2019, just before COVID, our annual procurement volume from Indian suppliers was $500 million. And if you look at end of 2024, so in a very short span of time, we've almost tripled it, and we reached almost $1.4 billion of procurement, annual procurement buying from Indian companies in 2024.
After helicopters, we can have a large-scale manufacturing of the plane flight, civil aviation planes here also in India.
Already, both for our commercial aircraft portfolio and helicopters portfolio. Every Airbus commercial aircraft and every Airbus helicopter flying globally today has parts that are designed in India, made in India, and even maintained in India. So we're really proud of that.
So Airbus is going through its way of supporting India's Make in India program, and this is one classic example of that. With Campus and Solve, this is Tapas Bhattacharya for GD India from Delhi.
Under this agreement, Mahindra will produce the H-130's main fuselage assembly, which will then be shipped to Airbus Helicopters facilities in Europe. President of Aerospace and Defence, Vinod Sahai, said that industrialization will commence immediately, with the first cabin assembly scheduled for delivery by March 2027.
Actually, a very big step in the Indian supply chain for global aerospace industry. India procurement of all the OEMs of aerospace supply chain is increasing. As it would happen, we also started with small metallic components and machine parts. We are going into sub-assembly. This is the first big contract where the entire fuselage of the entire helicopter is what will be made in India for entire world. So ours will be the only facility for Airbus globally where we will be making this fuselage and will be supplying to their final assembly line in Europe. And from there the helicopters will be rolled out to be supplied to Airbus customers across the world.
The International Monetary Fund reached a staff-level agreement with Argentina on a 48-month extended fund facility totaling $20 billion. The IMF said the agreement, which is subject to approval by its executive board, built on authorities' impressive early progress in stabilizing the economy, underpinned by a strong fiscal anchor that is delivering rapid disinflation and a recovery in activity and social indicators. Argentina desperately needs the $20 billion deal to unlock investment, blocking capital controls, bolster its depleted foreign currency reserves, and come out of a tight inflationary pinch. Argentine President Javier Milei took office at the end of 2023, pledging to take a chainsaw to the state spending to overturn a deep fiscal deficit and rein in triple-digit inflation. Up next, we get to updates from the world of sports. We'll talk of shooting first. We'll get to updates from ISSF Shooting World Cup. India bagged 2 gold medals on Tuesday, surpassing China's medal tally. Suruchi Singh downed the mighty China by surpassing 3 of its athletes to win the gold medal in the women's 10 meters air pistol at the season-opening ISSF World Cup in Buenos Aires, Argentina. Earlier, Suruchi, who had won an impressive 7 gold medals in the shooting nationals in New Delhi last year, had topped the qualification chart with 583 points. Meanwhile, in the men's 25 meters rapid-fire pistol, Vijay Veer Sidhu won yet another gold to surpass China's medal tally. India has now won 4 gold medals, a silver and a bronze in the competition. China, at the second position, has 3 golds, 2 silvers and 3 bronze medals. In cricket, Punjab Kings returned to winning ways with an 18-run victory over Chennai Super Kings in IPL on Tuesday. Priyansh Arya, playing in his first season of the IPL, smashed a century in just 39 balls before departing for 103 as Punjab scored 219 for 6. Arya smashed the 4th fastest 100 in the IPL. Shashank Singh also scored a half-century at the end of the innings to take Punjab over the 200-run mark. In response, Devon Conway's half-century and MS Dhoni's late finish went in vain as they suffered their 4th straight defeat in IPL 2025. Punjab have collected 3 wins in 4 games and are 4th in the table. Lucknow Super Giants secured a narrow 4-run win against Kolkata Knight Riders in a high-scoring thriller at the Eden Gardens in Kolkata. Nicholas Pooran's massive knock of 87 helped Lucknow post 238 in 20 overs. Chasing 239, Kolkata skipper Ajinkya Rahane top scored with 61 off 35 balls with 8 fours and 2 sixes. Venkatesh Iyer contributed 45 runs and Rinku Singh smashed 15 ball 38, but their efforts were not enough to take their team over the finish line. With this win, Lucknow have moved up to the 4th spot in the points table. Located in Yarbasi village in Turkey, Senenim Deresi, or popularly called the Hell's Creek, is captivating nature lovers with its stunning scenic beauty. Stretching across a 20 kilometers hiking route, this serene location offers biodiversity, especially during the spring. Alright, that's it in this edition of DD India News Hour. But let us know your thoughts on the news of the day. For those of you on the go, you can get all the latest news and updates from India and across the world on the DD India mobile app. This app is available on both Android and iOS platforms, and you can download the respective QR codes. We'll be back with more news as it breaks here on DD India. I'm Preeti Kaur signing off, and from all of us in Delhi, thanks for watching DD India News Hour.